Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we begin this video, don't forget to give it a like. It truly encourages us to keep sharing beneficial content, inshallah. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our future videos on faith, spirituality, and Islamic reminders. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah bless you and enjoy the video. Sometimes, before you even realize it, your heart starts changing in ways you can't explain. You begin feeling a longing, a deep restlessness that won't go away. It's as if your soul knows something is missing, but you can't quite put your finger on it. You may think it's loneliness, or perhaps you tell yourself that you're just overthinking. But what if I told you that it's a divine preparation, that Allah is quietly, gently preparing your heart for someone He has written just for you? You see, nothing in your life happens randomly. Allah doesn't allow feelings to arise without purpose. If your heart aches for a connection, if you find yourself yearning for companionship in a way that feels different, more sacred, more peaceful, more intentional, it may not be a weakness. It may be the beginning of something Allah is planting deep inside you, a seed that will grow in time into a love that serves His plan for you. But before He brings this person into your life, He begins with you. He works on your soul first. Because the kind of relationship that is written by Allah is not built on superficial desires. It is not built on neediness. It is not based on rushing. It is built on submission, on faith, on patience. Allah wants you to meet that person from a place of strength, not desperation. That's why He calls you into a season of isolation. He removes distractions. He allows certain people to walk away from you, not to punish you, but to protect you. He makes you question yourself. He makes you go deeper, and sometimes He even lets you feel broken. Not to destroy you, but to rebuild you stronger, more aware, more connected to Him. You start noticing things you didn't before. You start reflecting on your own flaws, your weaknesses, your habits, your intentions. You stop asking, "Why am I still alone?" and begin asking, "Am I the kind of person who can love righteously when the time comes?" That shift, subtle but powerful, is one of the first signs that Allah is working on you. Because before He sends someone meant for your soul, He purifies your heart to be ready for that union. It's easy to think of love as something that just happens when the time is right. But in Islam, the right time isn't just about age or circumstances. It's about spiritual alignment. Allah doesn't send someone just because you feel ready. He sends them when your heart can receive them in a way that pleases Him. That's why you may feel like you keep running into dead ends. That's why some people come into your life and then leave, even when you thought they were the one. That confusion you feel, that's not cruelty, that's clarity in disguise. Allah is filtering out what's not meant for you, so your heart won't be attached to anything less than what He's written. And in those moments of loss, of waiting, of wondering, He's drawing you closer to Him. He's teaching you to be content with His company first, to find comfort in His remembrance, to learn that true love isn't about another human completing you. It's about two souls walking toward Allah together. That's a love that can't be shaken. That's the kind of love worth waiting for. Sometimes you'll notice patterns, certain thoughts that keep returning to you, certain names that won't leave your mind, certain emotions that rise without warning. You'll feel something, but it won't make sense in the physical world. That's because Allah doesn't always prepare you through logic. He prepares you through intuition, through silence, through inner shifts you can't explain to anyone. So when that happens, don't ignore it. Don't suppress it. Sit with it. Reflect. Ask Allah, what are you trying to show me? What are you preparing me for? Because sometimes, He begins answering your dua long before you realize what you're asking for. And maybe right now you're tired. Maybe you've prayed for so long. You've cried in sujood, whispered prayers in the darkness, asked Allah to send you someone who will honor your soul. And yet, all you've seen so far is emptiness. Don't let that silence fool you. Behind the scenes, Allah is arranging everything. And often, the silence before the meeting is the loudest proof that something sacred is on its way. Allah is not slow. He is precise. His timing is not based on your desperation. It's based on divine wisdom. Every delay is a layer of preparation. Every moment alone is a moment where you're being refined. Because the person He has written for you isn't ordinary. And you aren't either. Your story isn't meant to be rushed. It's meant to be written with light, with prayer, with purpose. So when your heart aches, let it ache with hope. When you feel lost, remember that you are being guided. When you feel unworthy, remind yourself. Allah does not forget those who turn to Him. He sees you. He hears you. And He is already preparing someone who is praying for someone just like you. Stay close to Him. Because in staying close to Him, you are walking toward everything your soul was created for. Pain often walks in before purpose ever reveals itself. Before Allah unites you with someone written for you, He takes you through experiences that feel like loss, like disappointment, like heartbreak. You might wonder, why does it have to hurt before it heals? Why do I have to suffer before I meet the person meant for me? But what you may not see is that the very heartbreak you're trying to avoid is shaping you for the love you asked Allah for. You asked Him for someone sincere, someone patient, someone who would love you in a way that honors your soul. But to receive that person, you must first become that kind of soul yourself. And that transformation never happens in comfort. It happens in the fire. The fire of betrayal, the sting of being forgotten, the ache of feeling unseen. These are not punishments. They are tests. Tests that burn away what is weak in you so that your heart can be strong enough to hold what is sacred. Before you are brought to the one who will walk beside you in this life, you are often brought to your knees. You are shown your own reflection in the mirror of your trials. And sometimes it's painful to look. You see your fears, your insecurities, your hidden wounds. You may even realize that in the past, you were not ready to love the way you thought you were. You may have confused attachment with devotion or comfort with connection. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, allows these moments of clarity so you don't carry your past into your future. Think about the Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him. Before he was raised to a position of honor, he was thrown into a well, betrayed by those closest to him, sold into slavery and imprisoned for something he didn't do. Every stage of his pain was a step toward his destiny. What seemed like setbacks were divine setups. And that's how Allah works. He doesn't just protect your future, He prepares you for it. So when you find yourself crying over a relationship that didn't work, don't curse the pain. Thank Allah for removing what wasn't meant to stay. When someone leaves you without explanation, thank Him for exposing what your heart was too attached to. When you feel alone while everyone around you seems to be finding love, remind yourself, you are not forgotten, you are being refined. These repeated tests, these same emotional sinkholes you find yourself in, are not random. They are often signs that Allah is giving you one last lesson before the blessing arrives. Because without that final lesson, you wouldn't know how to hold on to what's written for you. Without that final heartbreak, you wouldn't understand the difference between a soul tie and a soul test. Sometimes Allah lets your heart break again and again, not to punish you, but to redirect your expectations from the creation to the Creator. He allows people to disappoint you so you don't idolize them. He lets you be ignored, so you learn to find comfort in His attention alone. And once you've been emptied of your dependency on others, once your heart beats more for His pleasure than for human validation, that's when you're ready. These tests also build something else: empathy. If Allah is sending you someone who's been through their own storms, He will make sure you know how to hold space for their pain. If they've struggled with self-worth, you'll be able to speak life into their soul. Not because you read it in a book, but because you lived it. You survived it. You carried the weight of your own silence, and now you'll know how to help carry theirs. And this is the mercy of your pain. It prepares you to be a mirror for someone else's healing. A partner who doesn't just love with words, but with understanding. Someone who knows how to pray with you, not just play with you. Someone who walks with you toward Allah because they've already walked with Him through their own fire. On you through each tear, each unanswered prayer, each quiet night when you wondered if you would ever be loved in the way your soul craves. You will, but only once your heart is aligned with the one who writes love stories, not with ink, but with mercy. And until that moment comes, don't lose faith because of what hasn't arrived yet. Keep working on your character. Keep building your patience. Keep polishing your intentions. The tests are not obstacles. They are staircases. And every time you choose ṣabr over bitterness, every time you forgive instead of holding a grudge, every time you let go and trust instead of trying to control, it's a step closer to that person who is praying for you too. They may not know your name yet, but they are being shaped as well. They are walking through their own fire, and just like you, they're being tested. Until one day, two souls that were built through patience, molded by faith, and tested through time will finally meet. Not by chance, but by decree. Because when Allah writes two people together, nothing, no distance, no delay, no test, can keep them apart. Sometimes, when Allah is about to unite two souls, strange things start to happen. You keep noticing the same numbers. You meet people who remind you of a lesson you thought you had already learned. You dream of someone you've never met. Or maybe certain places, names, or conversations start repeating in your life, like whispers from the unseen. You might dismiss these things as coincidences, but in Islam, we know that nothing is truly random. The Prophet Muhammad taught us that even the falling of a leaf is by the permission of Allah. So what about the signs in your heart, the deep sense that something or someone is coming? What about that inner shift you feel, where you suddenly stop chasing and start trusting? That's not coincidence. That's alignment. When Allah is preparing to send someone meant for you, He often starts by shifting you. Your priorities change. The people you used to crave attention from no longer excite your heart. The spaces you once tolerated feel spiritually empty. You begin to long for connection rooted in meaning, not just companionship. You start valuing prayer over pleasure, growth over comfort, patience over drama. This internal transformation is part of the unseen plan. And while you may not see the full picture yet, Allah is always sending signs. But these signs are not meant to feed your impatience. They are meant to increase your yaqeen, your certainty. They are reminders that Allah is active in your life, orchestrating every delay and every interaction with purpose. Sometimes, the repetition of pain is a sign. You keep meeting people who hurt you in similar ways. This is not punishment. It's revelation. It's Allah teaching you what not to accept anymore, and preparing your soul to recognize someone who will honor what others took for granted. Other times, the signs are quieter. You meet someone and instantly there is a sense of peace. Not butterflies, not obsession, but peace. And that's a divine sign. Because the presence of someone written for you will not disturb your soul. It will anchor it. The Quran says, "And among his signs is that he created for you from yourselves mates, that you may find a tranquility in them." Surah Ar-Rum 30:21. Tranquility. That's the key word. Not chaos, not confusion. So if Allah is preparing to unite you with someone, one of the signs will be this: peace. Even before you meet them. Because your heart will stop searching wildly and start preparing silently. You will feel it. Your du'as will begin to change. You will stop asking for someone to fill your loneliness and start asking Allah to help you become someone who brings light to another soul. That shift in your intention is not small. It is everything. Because true love, written by Allah, begins in the unseen. It begins when two souls are being purified in two separate places, learning, growing, failing, repenting, until they're both ready to walk together in the light. And until that day comes, the signs will continue. Not to confuse you, but to reassure you. Allah is not silent in your life. Even if you don't hear Him with your ears, your heart can feel Him. In every closed door, in every redirection, in every quiet whisper that tells you, be patient. What is written for you is not running away from you. It's just being prepared for the perfect moment. That's the beauty of divine timing. It always feels late until it feels perfect. When two souls are written for one another, nothing in this world, not distance, not time, not even repeated failure, can prevent them from eventually meeting. But until that divine moment arrives, Allah allows certain things to keep happening. Not to frustrate you, but to prepare you, to test you, and most importantly, to build your trust in Him. This is why it feels like the same cycle keeps returning. You meet someone, it feels promising, you start hoping, you think maybe this is the person. But then, slowly, it breaks apart. Again. And you wonder, why is this happening to me? Why does Allah keep letting people come into my life just to walk away? But what if it's not punishment? What if it's protection? Sometimes, Allah allows you to go through repeated emotional patterns, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're finally doing something right. You're finally seeing through the illusions. You're no longer settling for words without action or presence without purpose. You've outgrown what you once accepted. That's not regression, that's growth. Each time a door closes, you are being pushed a little closer to the one that will open and never close. Again, this is what divine delay looks like. It teaches you to stop trying to make someone stay who was never written for your story. It teaches you to let go, not out of bitterness, but with barakah. It shows you that your worth doesn't come from being chosen by people. It comes from being chosen by Allah. And if He's making you wait, then that waiting has weight. Allah does not burden you with repeated lessons without a reason. If your story keeps repeating, it's not because your prayer was ignored. It's because your soul is still being written. The person you are becoming is not the same person you were when you first made that dua. Maybe you asked for love, but Allah knew you needed healing first. Maybe you asked for a partner, but Allah wanted to send you a protector. Maybe you wanted someone who would stay, But Allah wants to send someone who will walk with you toward Jannah. You see, He knows what you don't, and until you're both ready, the cycles will repeat. Because it's not just about finding the right person, it's about becoming the right person. And when you're truly ready, the test won't return. Because the test only repeats until the lesson is learned. So if you're tired of feeling like love keeps slipping away, remember, Allah isn't just preparing someone for you, He's preparing you for them too. And sometimes, the process feels lonely. It feels endless. But in the unseen, the pieces are coming together, slowly, silently, perfectly. The Prophet said, "Know that what has passed you by was never going to befall you, and what has befallen you was never going to pass you by." Tirmidhi. So trust the plan. Even when it hurts, even when you're confused, even when everyone else seems to have found their person and you're still waiting. Trust that the delay is part of the design, and that the one meant for you is walking their own path right now, guided by the same light. You may not see it yet, but the day will come when you look back and say, every time I thought it was over, Allah was actually saying, just wait. I'm not done writing your story yet. Because what's written for you won't pass you by. It will arrive, when your heart is finally ready to hold what Allah has prepared. And when it does, you'll realize the wait was worth every tear. The repetition was just preparation. And the delay, it was mercy in disguise. May Allah bless you and guide you to a life filled with mercy, love, and tranquility.